Hello, my friends, and welcome to another Jacob Israel live show. I'm so happy that you all made it. Welcome. Say hi in the live chat for me. Let me know that you can hear me okay. Let me know that the sound is perfect, because I don't want this show to not be perfect. I want to be perfect. I like everything perfect. And you're all perfect for being here. I thank you. Take a look at this thumbnail. Holy crap. What are we going to talk about today? Huh? Who can tell me? There's so much going on. So many things. 1111. My favorite numbers.
Search engine.
My favorite numbers. I got to be honest. And 1111 is upon us once again. 2022. Holy macaroni. I got to tell you something. There is a lot to this show. So do me a favor and jump out of the old chat and give it the like. Give it the old smash of the like. Because it's sort of my thing here. 1111. I wonder if it really is a wake-up call. Like it's one of those things where it's a date, an hour, a time to wake up. As I said many, many moons ago, if you're new to the channel, I have clocks on the set. And those clocks are always set to 1111. I have a t-shirt called the I Am a Witness t-shirt that has 1111. 1111 on my show. It's a thing. It's a thing. I take it from Revelation 1111, which is a pretty important passage about God breathing life into his witnesses, as if that would be the day that we're in today. Could you imagine 1111 and the truth of God just wakes everybody up from their madness, from their slumber? Do you know 1111 is called Armistice Day? I think that's the way you pronounce it, Armistice. It's the day that World War I came to an end. We're now going on, 104 years. On this day, 1111, at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, the Great War ended. So 1111, every year is significant. Significant because it's about the Great War coming to an end. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be great if all this nonsense happened? This year we got a lot of weird things going on 1111. And I got to tell you something. I'm going to talk to you about things that I've shared over the years. A lot of this stuff is going to kind of reveal itself in such a way that it's going to get you to think, holy cow, there's something to this. There's something to this. So, this November 11th, there's a rare grouping of Mars, the Moon, and Elnath, which is the northern horn of Taurus. That's the bull. You know the bull? The Wall Street bull? Baal? The bull? The Commonwealth Games, they had them trying to tame this great red bull. And then there was a woman that was riding it. That word Elnath actually means budding. It's the tip of the horns of the bull, budding. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Of course, Mars is very significant because it has to do with the god of war. Can't get away from war today, right? That's all right. That's all right. I started getting a couple of emails from people. I don't know if you're one of those people, but a lot of you sent me this email. And in this email, let's just say that I took an interest. And I was like, well, why is there more than one of you sending this to me? There must be a reason. The scriptures say that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses that God's word is established. So if I get an email saying, this is interesting, you should check it out, I immediately thought of your videos because the 1111 is kind of synonymous with the channel. And then I get another one from Jason. He sends me the same video. And then I write, hey, it's funny. Someone else told me about 1111 too. I've been thinking about it. Thanks for sending it over. It's been on the tip of my tongue because I know the days are coming. I've just been more concerned with the next couple of days and the following week, the end of October, coming into Halloween. You know what's going on Halloween? It's the big Neuralink, Elon Musk. We're going to talk about him today on the show. We're going to talk about a lot of things on the show. A lot of things on the show that just, it got me excited, so it should get you excited. I think I missed something. You know, like I get these ideas, I get these feelings and vibes about things, and then I'll come on here and I'll share it. But most of the time I'm kind of like fumbling around in the dark. The scripture explains it like this, that we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. So in other words, it's kind of like if you look in a mirror and imagine it's all smudged, you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at. But until all that smudge is washed away, you don't know that you're looking at yourself. It's a revelation of Christ in you. It's a picture. Sometimes I get these ideas. They don't really make sense until things happen. Like I'll have dreams. We're going to talk about a dream that I had years ago and an essay that I wrote years ago that I've talked about again and again and again because of certain things that keep popping up. Well, now it seems that all of these things are happening at the exact same time. Like as if this is the time that I was writing about many, many moons ago. Let's get back to 1111. So I go and I look up this video. There's a channel. This guy's good too. By the way, check him out, the 1111 sign. I only watched this video, but I liked the guy. It seemed like he was pretty sincere. He had a lot of cool things to say. He was into dreams too. He was talking about his wife's or his partner's dream. I don't know. But it was an interesting video. But what the video got me to think about was old Elon, my buddy Elon Musk, and his post about 7-Eleven. That I said that maybe that post had something to do with September 11th, because really that 7th month is sept. Oct is 8, but the calendars, everything's all screwy. But when I saw this, I thought, my goodness, Genesis 7:11. On Twitter, I changed my profile avatar at the recommendation of someone to Tsunami, soon am I. If you haven't watched the channel in the last couple of shows, you should go back and watch these shows. It'll explain about the great soon am I flood that's coming, Noah's flood. So Genesis 7:11 has to do with the 600th year of Noah's life. The second month, the 17th day of the month. On that day, the fountains of the great deep were broken up and the windows of heaven were opened. It's the beginning of the flood. It's the beginning of the correction of the wickedness, the repugnance. It's going to make sense in a little while. The repugnance, the opposition to God and truth and love. It was a warning that Noah received to build the ark. Kind of like I told all of you, get ready, get your house in order. Get ready, because when the flood comes, you'll be safe, you'll be okay. And when everything's said and done, you're going to have a vineyard to plant just like Noah. How cool is that, right? Even though he got drunk. It happens. What are you going to do? It's 2022. You can't fault Noah for drinking a little too much vino. But Genesis 7:11 has to do with the flood. So, I tweeted this out just a little while ago. on October 10th. Actually, it was just a couple of days ago. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the fountains of the great deep broken up and the windows of heaven were opened. Hashtag 1111 coming soon. And that was in regards to today's show. Because this is an important thing. An important thing because I believe that all of this is working together in such a way that if we're not catching on by now, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, but I do know that if you've been watching for a while, you'll know that everything that's been is now. There's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that happened in Noah's day, Christ said in the future, it'll be like Noah's day. There'll be drinking and eating and giving in marriage. And that's when the correction comes, when the judgment comes, when the flood comes. But what kind of flood are we talking about? Are we talking about just a terrible, monstrous, horrible thing? Or are we talking about a great awakening? A flood of truth to wash away the lies we've believed. The light goes on. By the end of the show, you're going to find out. This is Genesis chapter 7. The Lord said to Noah. Noah, by the way, means rest. By the way, I'm going to talk about President Trumpster and a lot of other things. You're going to want to stick around for this. I got to lay some groundwork. Stick with me. The Lord said to Noah, which means rest, go into the ark, you and your whole family. I found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal. And basically, you know the story. He brings in the clean animals by pair. He brings in the unclean animals too. It's interesting. The clean comes in by 7s. The other comes in by 2. It's duality. By the end of this flood, it's a picture of the double-minded man being corrected because only one of those 2 animals come out. That's another show. I have plenty of videos on this, and you can just go right there, jacobisrael.com, right there. You want to learn about the flood? You can read one of my essays. Now, Noah was 600 years old. I've been on the 60 kick for a while. 60 this, 60 that, 60 this, 60 that. 600. It's a picture of, we'll say, carnal man, if you will. God makes man on the 6th day. 600 years brings you into the 7th day. It's a picture of a man who's about to level up. And Noah and his sons' wives, they entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, birds and all creatures that move on the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark. It's a picture of all the thoughts and all the beliefs and all the stuff that we got within us. Just so you know, because we're the ark. Noah's within us, if you will. Christ is within us, if you will. We are the temple of God. After the 7 days, the flood waters came on the earth. Genesis 7, verse 11, in the 600th year of Noah's life. The great deep burst forth. The floodgates of heaven were opened. And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. 40, that's a number. They were in the wilderness 40 years. Jesus was tempted 40 days, 40 nights. The rain fell how long? 40. 40 days, 40 nights. The washing of the Word of God, the rain, the latter rain, the truth. Rain is symbolic of God's truth being poured out on the earth. 40 is symbolic of, well, if you've had a child, I have 4, a 21-year-old, a 20-year-old, 22-year-old, going to be a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, and an 11-year-old. I got 4 children. Pregnancy takes about 40 weeks. It's interesting. It's a symbol of birth. So this flood is a good thing. It wipes out all of the corruption, all of the wickedness, all of the evil in the land. Now, the scripture talks about a judgment by fire. We're going to get into that. It's going to burn away all of the dross, all of the stuff that's not holy, not righteous, the tares, the wheat and the tares, the good and the bad. Same thing, different day. Flood by water, flood by fire. Flood's coming. Flood's already happened, if you will. The dragon, the great red dragon, you know that country? We've been flooded with a certain thing. I actually talked about this on the show. I talked about how the rainbow was coming to Noah's Ark many years ago. I don't know if this was hang on. It was 2020 going into 2021. I did a whole thing about how, don't worry, the double rainbow's coming to the Ark. And then just 3 days later, a literal rainbow came to the literal Noah's Ark. A big symbol of the flood, which is what I talked about. Big symbol of the flood. Can't get away from it. There it is right there from years ago. You'll see the 3 days ago and then the 6 days ago. So I did a show and then it happened like 2 days later. A rainbow. The rainbow, by the way, is a covenant. God made a covenant with man saying, I'm not gonna do it with water anymore. I'm not gonna flood the earth like that. It's gonna be a little different this time. 11:11. So I get all these things from people, and it reminds me of what I talked about years ago. 2019. The 11:11 warning that I gave to everybody. Because Mercury was actually crossing the sun at that time on 11:11. It's weird. Mercury is the messenger planet. And I believe I titled it, let me see. I believe I titled it 11/11/2019, The Final Trump. About a big division that was coming. About Trump perhaps coming again. Very strange. Very strange. What's stranger still is that video that I was sent to, that everybody said you got to check out, was expressing that the holiday on 11/11, they do the Bible readings. You know, this is the way it goes with the Torah. It's about the flood. On November 11th, 2022, it is the 17th. I don't know how to pronounce it. I got to tell you, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to look it up. I'm going to try to pronounce it. We'll call it Sivan. I don't know. But it's about the great flood beginning. The rains began to fall, flooding the earth and rising above the highest mountains. Only Noah and his family survived. That's interesting, because on this show, I've reminded all of you that you should get your house in order, because even in the book of Revelation, they talk about how before the great bowls of wrath are poured out on the earth, God says, mark off the grass, the kind, the good. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy for us. Doesn't mean it's going to be a holiday. Just means you're going to make it through. Mark them off. Don't hurt the grass. When the lion comes to devour, if you're in that, den with the lions and you're like Daniel, lion ain't going to tear you up. But I'm telling you, the lion is coming and is going to do a lot of tearing up. And I've been telling everybody this for years. But I think I have a clearer understanding of what it all means. So, the flood, a time of correction, a time of judgment, literally happening on 11/11 after I did a show about 11/11, after the messenger planet, the warning sign on 11/11, all of these things happening 3 years ago on 11/11, the final Trump. Strange. So, bunch of you sent this to me. Bunch of you. This is Gary Franchi, by the way. Gary Franchi, who I haven't heard from, like as if I know him, I don't know him. But years ago, I remember he had like 100,000 subs. And I don't know if I had like 20 or 30 or whatever. But my goodness, this guy's got like millions now. So he's doing something right. But I got one of his videos sent to me. Not that I watch his channel, I don't. And it had to do with the fact that the Trumpster, Donald Trump, tweeted out a like kind of a video that probably was like a fan video that was made, where he compares himself to a lion. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I've been posting about layish just recently. You're going to find out why in a second. Because of a dream that I had about a lion. Strange. All of this is so strange. It gives me such hope. Such hope. Like, I'm not that stressed about things. I got to tell you something. If you really have been watching and you really pay attention to what I'm saying, you don't get too lost in the live chat. By the way, do me a favor, hit the like button. Hopefully the audio is good and everything. I haven't checked because this show is, I got to just get through things before I come and check in with you. Hit the like. Help people to get here. Because in a second, not a second, maybe like 10 minutes, it's going to freak you out. So he tweets this out. And this was like the, I guess the thumbnail or whatever. You do know what that name MAGA means, right? We've expressed this in Latin. It means witch. And in, the church of the devil, it's the highest degree. MAGA comes from Magus, who you'll remember seemed like a prophet, seemed like he was for Christ and everything else. Simon Magus, but he was just all about the money. I'm not saying that the Trumpster is like that. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that this is very sus. The lion has a huge mane. Trump shares bizarre video featuring Christopher Walken quote. A lot of people are picking this up. This was from a couple of days ago. I got like a bunch of people that emailed me. I don't remember who the first one was, or I would credit you. But thank you for all of you who did bring this to my attention, because it is the linchpin in what is going on. So yeah, so it's like this kind of this inspirational video where you see Trump coming out, and then you see things playing out to a voiceover of Christopher Walken, one of my favorite actors. Since I don't want to worry about getting hit with like any kind of copyright, I'm going to act it out for you. I'm going to do a little Christopher Walken impersonation. That's right. I do impersonations too. I got puppets and fart guns. I do all sorts of stuff. I drink from a mug called Uranus is a planet. Uranus actually means heaven. I just found that out recently. I didn't even know. I used to just make a joke. Oh, Uranus is a planet. It makes people laugh. You know, you're drinking coffee out of Uranus. Get it? But then you find out that that word Uranus is the name for heaven. Wild. Wild stuff. So, Trump tweets this out, puts it out. He truths it, because that's the name of his channel. Who heard about this? Tell me in the live chat. Why, thank you, Judy Hulmer, by the way, for the super chat. God bless you as well. I'm glad that you enjoy me connecting the dots. I don't know if it's me so much, but I know something's going down. Who heard about this? Who heard about this? Francisco Kent says, Christopher Walken, Christ Walken. Wow. Ooh, that's good. Christ Walken. Christopher, Christ. One who is like Christ, Walken. one who's like Christ walking, and I'm going to do an impersonation. How about them apples? All right, so it's from a movie called, I think it's called Pool Hall Junkies. But imagine a video. You see pictures of Trump, and he's walking. He's holding hands with Melania, and then like all the people, all the jackals, they come out, right? Pelosi and all these people, they come to tear him down. But the lion, he's in charge. He's large and in charge. All right, so here's the impression. Now when the lion comes, they start messing with him, biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming over, making trouble. Still nothing. And the voiceover continues as the clip shows Melania Trump walking with him, right? And then he continues, he says, now, the other animals, they notice this. They start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, barking at him, laughing at him. The narrator continues as the footage is shown of Democratic leaders, including Nancy Pelosi, tearing up Mr. Trump's State of the Union address. And then Christopher Walken finishes and says, one day, the lion gets up and he scares the shit out of everyone. Runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. 'Cause every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals just who he is. I don't know. I think I sounded a little bit like Christopher Walken. You got to tell me in the live chat if I got it down. Christopher Walken's a good actor. But what about them apples, huh? About the lion. Saying he's a lion. A lion. Very interesting. A lion. Not as interesting as the fact that they called the statue made of Trump a golden calf. Very weird. That statue, by the way, has a magic wand. Yeah, he had a magic wand on that sucker. And remember he told them, he goes, I got my magic wand. On the channel, if you're new, I've kind of compared him to like the man behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, right? Dr. Oz. He's the Wizard of Oz, kind of a thing. I'm not saying he is. MAGA. It's to do with witchcraft. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying it's interesting. It's interesting that this statue, which is really not that great, because I liked the one where he looked like the Emperor Conqueror, where he looked like a great god. He was scary looking, where he had like Putin on his shoulder and he had like a Twitter sword. And I like that one where he was the huge, do you remember that? I talked about it on the show. But the reason I keep pointing out this golden calf, this statue, the fact that he's been compared to a lion again and again and again, and now all of a sudden everybody's pointing out the fact that this lion has a huge mane. He's done with the jackals. He's done. He's going to tear him up. He's going to tear him up. He's going to tear him up. This is crazy. This is really crazy. So, I did this. You got to understand something about me. I've been on YouTube a long time, since it first started, like 2008. For years, I had like 500 subscribers. I'm a writer. I do essays, and I take scripture and I try to, reveal that. Wrote for television. If you knew, it was WWE, and I left that. And then I went to Christian TV, and then I left that, because I knew one day this would be it. It has nothing to do with me. All of this stuff has to do with God. I don't know how any of this happened, except for the fact to say that, like, the amount of people that are watching right now at this moment are watching because I had a weird dream and talked about a subject that I didn't want to talk about, that I knew I was supposed to talk about again and again and again until I had a nightmare to talk about it. And all this is tied in to this terrible dream that I had back in like 2015. I did a whole essay about it in July. It was like a warning, the world's going to be crazy in 5 years. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be like martial law. There's going to be like plagues. There's going to be like earthquakes and migrant crises. It's going to be nuts. This is true. This is all true. My people that, considered me to be a rational guy, somebody who was, passionate about the things of God, somebody who could be trusted, somebody that, level-headed, TV writer for Christian television, Emmy Award winning. And all of a sudden I'm saying, the world's going to end? I was just starting to go around speaking engagements. And I remember a buddy of mine who had me down to his church, very progressive church, and it was the very first big speaking engagement I did in Atlanta. I was so excited about it. I had the dream after that, and I did this whole thing, and I guess he got a lot of complaints, and he told me, I'm thinking of taking the video down, and I was like, but what if it's true? What if in the future it's going to be a nightmare? What if, not too long, it's going to be, that's it? What if the lion's about to tear into some people, right? We're about to go into the lion's den. We're going to be tossed into it. It's a metaphor of how God is going to take us and put us through the fire. We are tried by the fire, people. This is what Scripture says, by fire. You think that Elon tweeting about burnt hair, you think it's just him having a good old time? Maybe. Or maybe they know something. I'm not saying they do. But it just doesn't sit right. None of this sits right with me. Especially with the way things have been. So, let me just pull this up and maybe let me, by the way, say hello, everybody. Hi. I appreciate you all in the live chat. Do me a favor, hit that like. We don't have 1,000 likes yet. We got to get 2,000 people here. So this is a video that I did September 28th, 2015. You can see the date there. Now, I haven't changed this or edited it. Like, I could go in and I could edit things to make it sound cooler, but I haven't. So I'm going to read to you because you got to understand something. When you have dreams or ideas of things, you don't really know for sure what's going to happen. You just kind of have an idea. So I wrote this essay called A Warning to Everyone. And as I said earlier, it did cost me a lot of friends and reputation. Flooding, earthquakes, migrant crisis, martial law, war, economic troubles, not to mention collapse. Okay? But this is what I want to focus on. The dream that I had. The dream that I had that I think a lot of it's already happened. What does that dome building look like? Do me a favor, in the live chat, tell me what that dome building reminds you of if you're in the States. But at the time, I just had a dream of a domed building. I didn't know what it was. I found myself standing. I thought it was Israel. I just believed it to be a holy place, right? So I assumed it was the Temple Mount. The Mount of the world, you could say that would probably be the Temple Mount, if you know what I'm talking about. The capital. I just knew it was an important holy site. It was daytime. Thousands of people were behind gates all around me. Sound familiar? I was in the center of it all. In front of me, I saw a huge statue that reminded me of Nebuchadnezzar. Kind of like that Trump statue I showed you. Now this idol, golden calf, they called Trump a golden calf, stood tall, overlooking all of Israel. I stood in the center of this open-air plaza, which would be like if you were on the steps of the Capitol, and noticed thousands behind me. They were anxious to see the presentation. So there was something going on. Do you remember what happened in January? On the 6th? Very anxious about that, right? I understood in the dream that they were waiting to see witchcraft, because all of that was kind of witchcraft, right? It was all played out. It was all a big show to try to trap people and trap people. That's why I did shows earlier and told everybody, don't do anything silly. Don't buy into it. Remember, I had this dream. Let me come back to you before do you remember I had that dream where Trump was in a casket and it was covered in moss, and on the right side he was laughing and dancing. I was holding him here and he was dead, but he was laughing and dancing, and I woke up and I said, oh, he's in on it. It's a big joke. But then I also said, or he's going to laugh. Either way, the swamp, we understood, this is long before everything that went down with the election. It meant death politically. And he was cut off everywhere. He was cut off everywhere. Reminds you a little bit of that story. If he comes back into power, the whole world will wonder after him, how did this happen? But he was laughing. He was having a good old time. A lion. It's interesting. Wait, it gets weirder. It gets weirder. And I didn't even know how to really share this show. So I remember thinking about the scripture that this is the spirit of rebellion. Okay? Like people were going to rebel. I don't know why, but that's what came to mind in 2015. I was then told by someone I didn't see that the statue was called Laish, and the name meant lion. Next, I realized I didn't have my wallet. At that point, the gates came down, and everyone started running around chaotically. And as I walked away, I found a reader of mine who was with someone carrying a briefcase that opened up, and inside it looked very much like a bright red bada-boom. I was told by the man that was holding it that it was a bong. Like if you were getting high, you'd use that. Disguised as a laptop that they were going to use within. He called that fake laptop that was a ba-ba-boom, something that was going to blow up in people's faces because they were carrying it into that place, the new Sussman. I remember thinking in the dream that I was worried there'd be some kind of an attack, and I woke up. But I found out that Laish means more than just that. It means Dan, judge. I immediately drew a parallel to the lion that is going to seek and devour. Devour. It's going to tear him up. Ironically, at the time, there was actually a laptop named Sussman, Lily Sussman. But that's besides the point, because if this is a dream that was kind of like somehow, maybe I, received some transmission to the future, right? There's a theory that we exist at the same time. So we've seen the future, we've seen the past, and that it all exists at the same time. It's an idea. Everything's happening now at the same time, same moment. An idea that people say, wouldn't it be great if you could tap into it? They have movies about this stuff. Your future self comes back and talks to you. You get ideas or visions or whatever. I think that, these dreams that I have, the scriptures say a third of them has to do with dreams and vision, that God speaks to us in our dreams. And perhaps I was given kind of a picture of the madness so that today I could then say, look at me and what I wrote many years ago when barely anybody knew me, 500 people. The little teeny audience that I had, I knew that if I said these crazy things, I would lose even them, and I did. But I was faithful. I just knew there had to be a reason for it. And now here we are. Now, a laptop. Sussman. The mainstream media suppressed the laptop story. Seems like they're doing it again with the Sussman trial. That's strange. That laptop, you could say, is a bong, considering his extracurricular activities. Could you not? But it's not just that person. I mean, it's again and again and again. The pursuit of Sussman is like the Bong laptop. The two together. And now there's a lion who is an idol, who was a statue. This is strange. It's strange to me because I don't know what's next, except for the fact that I think huge shakeups coming. Huge. Like political shakeup, for sure. I have my ideas. Especially since Trevor Noah is leaving the Daily Show. The Daily Show. Not that I like Trevor, but the name Trevor actually means a great settlement of rest. That's what Noah means, rest. The great settlement of rest is leaving. He was actually just talking about this guy and his crazy rant. Big problem with him. I said a while ago that Ye, he changed his name legally to Ye. I know he sounds, a lot of people are like, oh, I like what he stands for. I know it. That's the point. He changed his name legally to Ye, which is the light. He is the light of the world. He walked on water. Do you remember that stunt? I said years ago that this was going to be the guy. You got the whole team. And he's going to DEF CON 3 on who? That's a crazy thing to say. That's a hateful thing to say. It's a strange thing to say. And because of it, he's now in some trouble. Chase Bank. They're like, we don't want to do business with you. Could you imagine? Guy's got so much money. Chase is like, we don't want your money. They're so full of baloney. They want their money. This is why I think all of this stuff is happening for a reason. They're your heroes, people. There they are. And I can't tell you, listen, here's the thing. I can't tell you they're bad. God's put them there for a reason. God's placed them there for a reason. I don't know what that literally means, except for the fact that I am concerned. I'm concerned. What do they have in common? God's providence in their life. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, especially because of the timing. I said years ago, judgment was coming to America. There's a reason this eclipse, the sun, makes an X smack dab in the middle of Little Egypt, Carbondale, Cairo, Little Egypt. Freaky, man. Halfway through, what did I say was going to happen? Time of Jacob's trouble would begin. People said I was full of baloney. I'll tell you one thing. I'm Jacob. Trouble began on that day for me with the dates of man. My children couldn't go to college because they had to do something, which now we know. How horrible. But yet if they be corrupt, I said it. Didn't I say it? I said, hang in there. I said the truth would come out. I said it would go away. How did I know it would go away? The Trumpster said it would just disappear one day. So now someone has to hold everybody to account. Someone has to bring the hammer down. Who do you think that someone's going to be? I would say he's a lion. I would say he's going to devour. Strange, but true. My last video was about Tulsi Gabbard. It's like this barely did anything. Barely anybody saw that video. But yet years ago I said, she's the one. She's the one. It's like you can see it. The story is playing out right in front of our faces. And I'm telling you all this so that you don't put your faith in the story, but you put your faith in the author of everything, not these little trivial bestial things. God. Put your faith in God. How else do these things propagate? I don't know how it works. I'm not like a smart guy. But I do know that from this sign right here, which took place in 2017, it was 6 years, 6 months, and 16 days to the final eclipse. How crazy is that? That final eclipse, Revelation 12:11, they loved their lives not unto death. That day, December 14th, you know what started? That was the very first one that went out in the United States. A lot of stuff started on December 14th. Check it out. Strange times, people. Strange times. Revelation 16, we just talked about recently. 6 years, 6 months, 16 days till that final eclipse from that sign in the heavens. And what's strange about that sign in the heavens is that it happened, let me just point this out, because there's nothing new under the sun. Jesus was betrayed, Trump was betrayed. But, right? Pence got that silver coin, remember that? And they said he betrayed him. Nothing new under the sun. When this thing happened, a couple of years later, guess what happened too? Because I told everybody, Jupiter was in the womb of Virgo. If you don't know anything about this Revelation 12 sign, this is just something that played out astronomically above Jerusalem at the time. Virgo was crowned with what appeared to be 12 stars. You see it above Virgo's head. And Jupiter was in Virgo's womb for 9 months. And on September 23rd, 2017, Jupiter, which is known as the king planet, was born, birthed into the world. And I told everybody, we're pregnant with possibility. This is the time. In that book of Revelation, where right? Revelation, this is the time. Pregnant with possibility. Now, back in the time when Mary, which means man's rebellion, was overshadowed by the Holy Spirit and was pregnant with possibility, with Christ. In a couple of years' time, there was a census that came out in the land. There was a census that came out in the land a couple of years from that sign. All of these things that are happening. This is an exciting time to be alive. And the things that are happening, the war that we're in, it's a spiritual one. Something's going on. NASA just said that its defense mechanism was a true success. Smashed into Dimorphos, which was the little moon. They used to call it Didymoon. Didymus means twin. Dimorphos was the little moonlet that was locked in an orbit with it. If you believe space exists, if it doesn't, just go with the story. I know it hangs people up, and it shouldn't. Just go with the story. They smacked into that moonlet, and it knocked it off course. Are they going to be able to knock you off course? It's a question. But what's weirder is the fact that the very dream that I had that got this channel to take off had to do with meteors and fireballs and lots of that stuff coming in. So it's strange that this is something that's in the news. Because if that were to happen, it would sort of fulfill Revelation 16, that last bowl. The Euphrates River has already dried up. That's the sixth angel. We talked about this on the show just recently. And I saw, this is verse 13, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet. The dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. The dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. The dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. But it can't just be literal men, people. It's easy for me to say that. Can't be, because this is a spiritual thing. The dragon, the beast, and the false prophet is something that's in us already. Does it mean that it's going to literally play out in a world with people like this? No. I don't dislike any of them. And they may literally care about the world, and they may have strong faith. I doubt that they have the faith that I have. They know the God that I know. But what are you going to do? But this is what this sign is all about. 6 years, 6 months, Revelation 16. I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. I had that dream last night. Bummed me out. When I have bad dreams, and then it's like, see, this is the thing, is I'll tell you my insecurities too, so you know that I don't think that I'm great. I don't. I had a dream. My mother and my father, I was looking for a restroom. Couldn't find it. And the only one was in an open field. There was no one around, but then my mother and my father, my stepfather came out, and for whatever reason, were just giving me a hard time. They were yelling at me. Next thing you know, I was like yelling back. Next thing you know, I see all these people coming around. And I look down, and I'm like completely naked. I'm just trying to go poop. Right? See how I ruin a good show? But I was like, just stop, everybody's, and all I could think of in the dream, how vain am I, was like, well, I'm glad I really ate right for the last couple of weeks, because because at least I looked all right. It was a terrible dream, but I was naked and I was ashamed. And then I woke up and I'm like, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? Are you telling me that I'm going to be, or are you telling me this is what's coming for everybody? This is what's coming for everybody. Because Christ comes as a thief. Keep watch. Keep your garments. Don't be like me, stuck in the middle of the field trying to go to the bathroom with everybody looking at you so they see your shame. Don't do it. And he gathered them into one place called Armageddon, Megiddo. And we just did a show about that, didn't we? With Joe Biden saying that, right? He gathered them all at that place. We're gathered around that place according to the world. So what's next? The seventh angel poured out of his vial into the air. Now, by the way, we expressed how that's a picture of a messenger of God pouring out his passion, the passion for God. Like it would be like you or me sharing our passion for God, pouring it out. The bowl, pouring it out on the world. So we're pouring out our passion of God into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple. Who's the temple? Where's the temple? It's in you. So perhaps it's not about literal things. Perhaps the literal things are there to get you to understand the spiritual things that are already going on within, because you're the temple of God. And if you hear a great voice coming out of the temple of heaven, like John saying, it's done, it's done. It's finished. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings. There was a great earthquake, not since men upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities and their nations felt. And great Babylon came into remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, which troubles me, because I'm on Long Island. And the mountains were not found, which tells me, holy macaroni, that sounds a lot like Noah's flood. Sounds a lot like Noah's flood, which we are supposed to honor on 11/11. Strange. And there fell upon men great hail out of heaven. Every stone weighed about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail. Interesting, all of these things are happening. Interesting, because if something came out of heaven, we would see burnt hair indeed. And you understand, if you didn't see my last show, I talked about this. What it could mean, how hair is symbolic of our ego or our carnal ways. Did anybody do a close-up of that perfume bottle, by the way? I did. Take a look at the very top. I'm going to come to the chat, and I want to see if you can tell me what you see at the top of that. We got almost 2,000 people watching. Thank you very much for coming. Please do hit the like button. That helps more people come and see what we're talking about. What do you see in the neck? What do you see? Looks like an eye to me. Looks like an eye, and then beneath it, it looks sort of like a planet. And sure, smoke around it. Thank you, Lee Gonzalez. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to keep it up. Looks like an eye. I mean, I could be looking a little too deep. That's what I like about Elon. He leaves us these little clues and all these little things. If you remember correctly, Singed could possibly have something to do with League of Legends, who was a character who created a terrible weapon that burnt a lot of hair, which, by the way, you could pay for with Doge and is a product for whatever you want to be. And it doesn't get more lit than that. I said, Triple Dog dare you to tell everybody what burnt hair really means. As if I know. I don't know, everybody. I don't know. But I do know that Ezekiel was told to burn hair inside the city. I do know that God says there's something that's coming. And you're going to want to make sure that you're on the right side of things by being kind, by being loving, by being compassionate. Because the meek, the weak, the kind, they're going to inherit this earth. This is an interesting time to be alive. Don't be scared. Don't watch too much of that Fox and CNN and the Fox. Don't get into anything. Whenever you see people throwing hate around, understand that there's more. It's like a little honeypot. We don't need tribalism. What we need is unity of the spirit. We need faith. And I believe that if you watch this whole show, you can't say that things that I wrote about, 2015? Sussman, Idol, Lion, Laptop, Dome Building, Rebellion. It's just cool. It's just cool. All right, let me come on over. I'm going to put up the thumbnail, and I'm just going to say thank you to everybody that's been watching. I appreciate you coming in. And please do me a favor. Check to see if you are subscribed. I know a lot of people are being unsubscribed, and they continue to tell me this. You got to check. Check the bell for notifications. All of the links to everything are in the description of the video. You know, if you want to get yourself a shirt or a mug or a copy of the novel, all that stuff's description of the video. You want to email me, do it. Keep the email short. Do not send me a million emails. Just send me one, you know. Don't send me like 100. Don't do it. It's too hard to get through. I'm only one guy. I love you all, and I'll